I'm pretty sure the script for this film was like pew pew pew.
Basically, Korean Michael Bay.
They have to run away, right?
Something does like this backflip out of the water. Like he had no propulsion, and it's like,
it was like watching a video game. It's watching a video game without the fucking bits where you have to actually play the video game. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Asian Blokes Podcast, a podcast where we talk about Asian pop culture, films, TV shows, comic books, anime, music, food, video games, whatever we're feeling at the time, really. My name is Dan with Hayton. With me, as always, is my co-host, Tavi. Hi, Tavi.
Hi, Dan. See you munching on these seaweed things. I have
Oh, my God, it's so good. Well. It's so good.
Salted seaweed.
I can't stop.
We're really getting into our Asian side of things, you know, eating seaweed as a snack. Well, it's been chipped, but it's alright. They're really good with if you buy like sashimi and that kind of stuff, you just wrap it.
Yeah, I mean, I just eat it by itself.
They're really cheap, and you get them from Coles. Really easy to get.
Yeah, I did get them from Coles, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Because my mum buys them all the time. She really likes them too.
Hi. Yeah, I recorded. It's okay. Hi. Yeah.
Hi.
Say Tavi.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can hear. Oh, thank you. What's this?
It's an eclair.
An eclair.
And caramel slice.
Wow. Tavi.
What? I want an eclair.
I got an eclair and a caramel slice.
I don't have a caramel slice. I have like an eclair.
I have an eclair, a caramel slice, and seaweed. So, I'm good.
You bastard. You bastard. No, it's alright.
This podcast is just going to be all eating. This is the food content that we promise you guys every intro.
Yeah. We've delivered on the games.
No, we haven't. We haven't published anything yet, Tavi, because you're supposed to edit it.
Yeah, it takes too long to go for that shit.
Let's plays are hard. Don't ask us for let's plays.
Are we going to remove that from the intro of them?
Never. We'll get to it eventually. That's the Two Asian Blokes guarantee. Eventually.
We'll have to stream it, man. It's the only way.
That sounds hard.
No, you can stream through YouTube. I just haven't figured it out yet. But like, I've got the gear to do it. But that's not why we're here.
Why are we here, Tavi? What are we reviewing today?
We're not coming off the drinking and watching K-pop. We're actually coming off watching.
This is separate. This is separate from K-pop. Get out of the K-pop headspace. Get that Twice song out of your head, Tavi.
I can't get out of my head.
Get it out of your head right now.
I can't do it.
Because we're talking about something that's very far removed from Twice.
Not really.
Oh, well, it's from the same country, I guess.
You're
true. Right. You are correct. We're talking about Carter.
Yes.
Explosive action film that came out on Netflix fairly recently at the time of recording. A film produced in South Korea. Yeah, I didn't know much about this film going into it.
I had no idea about this film. I was just browsing Netflix and it was top 10 in Australia of films. And like Carter, high impact violence, blood and gore. What is this?
South Korea. Yes,
South Korea. So I watched it. I noticed that it has a very low rating on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes.
It's going to be interesting, Tavi, because both you and I kind of enjoyed it. Right?
The first time I watched this movie, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a lesson in bad screenwriting, but it's also a lesson in pure ambition and pure action.
I mean, the point of this movie is not the craft of screenwriting, right?
No, it's not a screenwriter's
I'm pretty sure the script for this film was like, pew, pew, pew.
Basically, Korean Michael Bay. Who was the director of this film again?
It's the Villainous guy. The guy that directed Villainous. Jung Byung-gil.
Yeah. I quite like the villainous.
Yeah, I
And
remember
the
it being
villainous
pretty
has a
good.
good story as well. Has a very heart-moving story, yeah.
There are some elements from this film that kind of resemble elements from the villainous. Like the gimmick of Carter, this film, is that it's all shot to look like a one-shot
One
film.
take, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, it's not done in one
Yeah.
take, but with
It's clearly not.
quote unquote clever editing, masking the different cuts. It's meant to look like it's been filmed in one take, which I feel like some parts of the villainous had a lot of if I remember right, it had some first person stuff going on.
It does at the start.
Right?
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
And it has a pretty iconic motorcycle fight scenes, which is, I think, this guy's trademark, because he does that a lot in this movie. There's a lot of chase sequences on high speed vehicles and choreography. And this movie is really fun, man. It's not a critic's movie.
Well,
but I
it
also
doesn't
think
seem
it's
to
a
be
bit-
an audience movie.
I think this
Judging from
movie is
Rotten Tomatoes.
It's a bit unfairly rated, to be honest. When I watch this movie and I enjoy it, I'm thinking, how are people enjoying Fast and Furious, but they're not this movie?
Well, let's give a little quick synopsis of the film before we get into it, I think. So this guy wakes up with no memory of who he is.
Yeah.
He wakes up in this hotel room surrounded by government agents that are going to take him in or execute him or something. And then he receives a mysterious phone call. And the person on the other line says that his name is Carter and that he needs to do what she says if he doesn't want to die.
Carter!
Carter.
Carter!
So and it turns out he's even though his memory's gone, he's the best at martial arts. He's the best secret agent there ever was, and he fights his way throughout the film towards the truth behind what his mission is.
There's also a zombie outbreak.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. There's a zombie
So
outbreak
this
going on.
movie was a first draft ideas. Just chuck it in, just throw it in there.
It's little bits of Bourne Identity, little bits of World War Z, and just a lot of action.
The closest comparison I can think of to this movie is Hardcore Henry. It's basically
a film that nobody
very
watched.
Similar. I really enjoyed that movie. Hardcore Henry is also an unfairly judged film as well.
It's pretty fun as well. If you happened to if you were in the minority that enjoyed Carter, you should check out Hardcore Henry as well. It is also a one-shot film, I think, but
it's entirely POV.
Its gimmick is that
Carter,
it's first person.
Yeah.
Which is really ambitious and a really interesting concept. And I think, the main reason people don't really like it is that it looks like a video game for the most part.
Yeah, this movie gives you video game vibes.
Sure.
It's
I've seen that as a criticism in a lot of reviews.
Sometimes we talk about going with the flow with movies. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. When you're watching this movie, there is a very clear you're not watching
cinema.
You're not watching you're not really watching cinema. You're not really watching a Park Chan-wook movie per se.
Yeah, you're watching a director smash his action figures together for the better of 2 hours.
And I guess you mentioned to me that you got a little bit motion sickness watching this movie, right?
I do. So
Yeah.
sorry, seaweed, but
Yeah. That's right. I got my seaweed too.
initially
And my drinks.
I watched it on my projector, which is how I usually watch films. So fairly big screen, and I did get motion sickness, and I was like, I can't actually watch this film. I kind of like it, but it's making me sick, physically ill. But then the next day, I watched it on my phone on the bus ride to work, and I was fine. So I feel like the viewing
That's weird.
experience.
I get motion sickness when I watch stuff on my phone on public transport.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I do too, but for some reason, like, I got more motion sickness watching it on the big screen than I did on the small screen. And I have a feeling it's due to the field of vision. So, like,
Okay.
you know, when it's a big screen, it kind of feels more of your vision. So you're more immersed in it, which is why we generally watch things on a big screen, right? Is for more immersion. Whereas on a small screen, I could kind of separate myself from what was happening on the screen to what was happening in real life. So I think that's why I didn't get as much motion sickness watching it on the small screen. So
maybe,
the viewing experiences were very different, which might come to explain why people don't really like this film that much.
I think it's the camera work. It's also like the shutter speed has been increased. So you get that really like jittery feel to it.
Everything feels more frantic.
It's like what they did with like the opening war scene in Saving Private Ryan. But like, I had no issues watching this movie.
I do want to come back to that point.
Yeah, the technical aspect.
But from a viewing experience point of view, like, I think the whole shaky cam vibe of it, like, I understand why it was done. But I can totally see why it put a lot of people off this film.
Well, like, I think with the action scenes, you can tell that there is some kind of unfinished CGI, like, especially with some of the blood effects.
That was my partner's main gripe, was like how cheap it looked overall.
It does look cheap, but you have to also remember this is a movie working on a South Korean budget, whereas I'm gonna attack Marvel again, because I guess that's just a part of the thing we do now in movies.
Part of the thing
I feel
you
like
do.
I see.
I love Marvel, and I always.
I know
will.
you love Marvel. I find a lot of like the CGI in their shows looks unfinished, and like people kind of forgive it, whereas like with Carter, there is a lot of the actors putting their bodies on the line. The stunt work,
100%.
Because there is actually a clarity amongst all the shaky cam, and like I can't imagine just even like choreographing and putting it all together, especially with some of the scenes that involve like all the high speed vehicle stuff. There's motorcycle chases on freeways, there's fucking country road like motorcycles, there's helicopter cycle.
It gets crazy. It's like, fucking balls deep from start to finish in terms of action.
What I liked about the action also is that each scene is building up to something bigger each time, like in terms of like spectacle, There's a city, and there's just I like the amount of collateral that's in this movie, because there's a lot of like innocent things, not just people, things that are getting killed because like there's these battles that are happening. And it's also interesting to see the CIA as a antagonistic force in a film.
Sure.
I know you see it in a lot of like American stuff, but there's always like that balance between line. But this is like, because this is a Korean film, all of a sudden it's like the Americans are kind of the bad guys in this movie.
There are Americans, North Koreans, and South Koreans. And they make it pretty clear who the villains are. And I guess on the CIA point, like, they're there for the action scenes. For a lot of the action scenes, they're there. But their presence doesn't really amount to much in the film, And again, it's a screenwriting thing. Like, it's not the strongest screenplay, which goes to explain why the CIA is kind of like built up and then just drops away from the film. During the midway point, I think there's like a whole plot point where the main character Carter, is like a sleeper agent who's embedded himself in the CIA and has had like a relationship with a female agent in the CIA who is actually apparently attached to him, and then she gets shot in the shoulder and just disappears from the whole movie.
I was confused by that storyline.
Yeah, because it doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't. He's just like, is he actually a sleeper agent? Because then you find out he's a North Korean agent.
Yeah.
But like he's a North Korean agent who's a sleeper agent.
He was a North Korean agent that embedded himself in the CIA. But his allegiance was actually to the North Koreans. So the CIA plot point really doesn't go anywhere. He just doesn't like him. He distances.
We probably should have put a spoiler warning, but this movie is not really.
Doesn't matter. No,
like you're not watching this movie for story. Which is like, as someone that writes screenplays, is probably not why I should be watching movies. But man, like I just stumbled on this.
That's not the focus of this film. The focus of this film is the action, right?
Is action.
Yeah, and the action is really well done, but really poorly edited, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I would
like
say
the stunt people are, like you said, the stunt people are so invested in this film, and the lead as well, Joo Won. He's like. Yeah. You can tell he's trained so much, and he's not typically an action guy, I think.
Oh, really? I didn't check up on his background.
I think he's like a Korean drama kind of guy.
Oh, really? Yeah. He's fucking tank in this movie.
He's super tank. So he's put in the hard work, and like it looks like he's doing a lot of the stuff himself. And like all the fucking English teachers they've got
in on board. If you enjoyed the acting from the Squid Game actors, the American Squid Game actors, you're gonna love this movie.
If you enjoyed every camp white person that is in an Asian film performance, like you're gonna love this film because there's a lot of it for the first half anyway. But you know, like they're probably all stunt people, and like you said, within the really shaky and heavily edited action scenes, there is like fluid fight choreography and like believable action in there. But I feel like the editing doesn't really do it justice because the cameraman just can't sit still in this film. He's fucking flying all over the place, Tommy.
He's got to like, he's got to move around and shit.
It's really distracting. I found it super distracting.
I honestly didn't find it that distracting. It's weird because I found it super distracting in Jiu-Jitsu. But,
that film's funny.
Jiu-Jitsu is pretty similar, but Jiu-Jitsu was shit. Like, and I was trying to think, like, why do I like this movie more than Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, Jiu-Jitsu felt like they were trying lots of different things in one movie, whereas this film felt like it had a singular vision. Let's do like a focus. Let's do a one-shot action film that's fucking crazy.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah.
So, like, my favorite scene in Jiu-Jitsu is similar to this whole film. You know, like that scene in Jiu-Jitsu where
the cameraman falls over.
It switches to first person, but like it's kind of first person, but it's like the cameraman is fighting people, and then sometimes he puts the camera down and goes to fight people. It's a weird scene. You should check it out if you can. But this film, it's like all kind of, you know, a one shot of Carter doing this, but because of the pacing of it, and because they need the pacing to be very frantic, I guess that's why they've gone for this direction of like the camera is always moving, the camera is fucking like just jumping around with the action, which is not. I've said in the past I'm not a fan of shaky cam action direction.
I'm not really either. Like, I mean, if we talk about the later Taken movies, how it's just like edited the shit out of, you know.
But that's clearly done because Liam Neeson can't be fast really anymore, right? Yeah. But this guy Joo Won and the stunt people supporting him, they're doing an excellent job, I think. So to kind of like cut it up in such a way that it's hard to tell whether they're doing a good job or not is kind of doing them a disservice. But at the same time, maybe it's necessary to keep the pace of the film going, you know?
Yeah, I think so. Like, like I said, it didn't really bother me that much. I was just like, the you know, he's just killing a room full of naked Yakuza guys. I'm just like, yeah, this is cool. Like, you know, I wasn't that really bothered by it. Like, there's a lot of things that are wrong with this movie, and I watched this movie again, and you can nitpick the hell out of this movie. Like, this, because like this movie is like a fetch quest. Basically, he has to rescue this girl named Hana who has a cure for this zombie virus in her blood. And he puts her at risk so many times in this movie to kind of like...
Yeah, a lot of the time she's like hanging on the side of a speeding train, and he's like, Hanaya, hang on. Yeah. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll hang on then, I guess.
The part where there's basically a plane sequence, and they're falling out of this plane, and this like guy's kidnapped Hana.
That was so cool, though. That's a cool scene.
It was really cool, but he like cuts the Hana, and he like chucks Hana off the guy. Yeah. So she's like falling
free
to her
falling.
death.
Yeah, without a parachute.
Like, oh man, like you really have to have that much confidence in your ability.
He knew what he was doing.
And he obviously rescues her, so he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
But like, it's weird because, like, yeah, I actually struggled to be critical with this movie because it's not a good movie, but it's just a lot of fun.
It's a film where you're like, either you'll like it or you won't.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, I mean, despite its Rotten Tomatoes score, it's kind of critic-proof, right? Because, like, fans of this kind of film are going to enjoy it regardless of what critics say.
But like you said audiences didn't seem to like it as well.
They don't.
So I wonder why, because like audiences seem to eat up significantly worse action movies, like really boring action movies,
well,
I think.
I think this is like, it's just a different direction that is throwing people off. Because, yeah, it's pretty unique in a way.
Yeah.
Like, I know you mentioned Hardcore Henry just before. But, like, there aren't that many films that are like this film. And, yeah, like, the whole idea of sacrificing story for just packing it full of action is already going to alienate people. And then you have this kind of, like, directions.
But a lot of people who watch, like, you know, spectacle films don't give a shit about story. Like, they probably do subconsciously, yeah. But, like, those stories are so, like, some of these movies with these really weak stories that people seem to love.
I see what you're saying, but this is like overtly throwing it away, you know? Like something like, I don't know, Jurassic World Dominion. It's like there's a semblance of a story there, even though there's not really. It kind of tricks audiences into thinking there's a story there, right?
But the thing is, I'm gonna say, like, the action sequences in Bullet Train are just as on par as they are in this movie.
No, they're worse in Bullet Train.
They're worse in Bullet Train.
They're definitely worse in Bullet Train.
But like people love Bullet Train.
Do they actually?
Audiences really enjoy Bullet Train.
Okay.
But Bullet Train has a higher rating than, let's say, Broker or Decision to Leave on IMDb.
Okay.
So that's like that baffles me.
That's ludicrous. But okay.
It is pretty ludicrous. But like also my prejudices aside from Bullet Train and the source material and all that, but like the action is not that good in Bullet Train.
It's not.
And then Carter, I think, has significantly better action scenes. I think so, man. Like, look at all the physicality
it definitely
that goes
does.
on there. Yeah.
It definitely does have better action, but in terms of balance, like, Bullet Train is a more balanced film. So it's definitely, it's going to be more crowd-pleasing, like, just on that, right? Whereas Carter, it's like, they're only focusing on an action centric demographic.
People that love Bullet Train, they're like, I just wanted to go in there and have fun and have a good time and watch some action. Okay, here's this movie that's full of that. No, I don't like it. Why? Because it's a different style.
It's kind of,
and it's just like it's different, and it's like I mean, like, to be fair, Bullet Train does have a better plot and a better story, much more than Carter.
It's also got Brad Pitt in it.
Yeah, it's got, so there's like these. I know there's these kind of contradictory...
Doesn't have a bunch of English teachers in it.
That's true. But the thing is, like, look, I contradict myself kind of a lot. Like, when I re-edit episodes and I re-watch some of our podcasts, I'm like, oh yeah, what I probably said there was not really what I was trying to convey. But like, it's just strange because, like, this movie is I mean, if this movie had like 60% or 70%, so, oh yeah, that's fair. But like,
no,
it's overwhelmingly negative.
Yeah.
And like, because it's, like I said, it's not a great movie at all, but like, it's just fun. Like, yeah.
I think you got to think about the platform it's put on as well. So it's a Netflix release, right?
Yeah.
The people watching action films on Netflix are watching things like Old Guard and The Grey Man, those kinds of films. It's pretty different to what this film has to offer. Like, not just in terms of the vision, but also in terms of like the South Korean sentiment, I guess.
Yeah.
So like those two factors combined, I feel like is definitely just going to pan out into a negative review from the average Netflix viewer.
Yeah. It's just like, it's just the fact that the average Netflix viewer is just not used to, I guess, foreign stuff, I think it being Korean as well might have turned some people off. Which is like it's kind of sad because like
it's a very ambitious film as well. Like it's very ambitious to kind of think that you can even do this kind of thing. Like I watched some of the behind the scenes stuff. Like there's not that much to offer, but every person involved with this film was saying things like, "I read the script and I was like, can we even do this?" So like they acknowledged that it was a very difficult thing to pull off. And I think they executed it pretty well, like in terms of what their overall vision was, or the director's overall vision anyway. But I don't know if it was the right vision for this film. Like, it's really hard because I want people to kind of have a go at trying something different. But at the same time, I wonder if this film would have been better as just a straight up action film, because like the choreography was so solid and the action performances were so well done. And even the CG and like the destructible like sets that they built, like all of that was really on point. That if they had have taken that gimmick of the Wanna away, maybe it would have been a better film, but maybe not.
Yeah, maybe. But I think this guy just likes the style, because he did that in some action scenes in The Villainess. But The Villainess had more straightforward action in it that didn't have that kind of POV floating camera feel the whole time. And I think Villainous had a better story. So that's why that movie is better than this one. And people received The Villainous pretty well, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it influenced the scene in John Wick 3 on the motorcycles, So The Villainous is a great movie. This movie, I think, it's obviously it's narrative that hurts it the most. And I feel like maybe most of the people who might have tuned into this are probably like, because like if you're watching foreign movies, you're probably, a little bit up in the curb. That's a pretty snobby thing to say, but that's like, you're obviously looking for a bit more in your films. And this is just a straight up action thriller with like this unique style. And also maybe it's budget as well. Like, I don't know what the budget for this movie was, but it'd be nowhere near as anything as like The Grey Man or, Fast and Furious film. So imagine if this dude was given the time and the budget to do what he wanted. I think there would have like been a pretty sick, like,
30 billion
action thriller.
won, which is
30 million?
32 million Australian dollars.
Okay, so that's about like 28 million US, 27 million US.
So it's not huge.
Not huge. And like you can still do a lot. Like look at District 9 was shot on $30 million budget. And that movie looks fucking awesome.
I think they did a lot with this budget. And like I said, they built a lot of sets, which they promptly destroyed during the action scene. The fucking helicopter scene was a real rig. You know, like obviously
Oh, yeah?
shot on a green screen, but
Yeah.
like they built that rig and he was hanging off it for real. The skydiving scene they did for real, man.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they fucking
Really?
shot that for real. They jumped out of planes and everything. So
Are you serious? Oh, I'm actually really surprised by that. I didn't think they jumped
There
out.
were a lot of practical effects.
That's
in
probably
this film.
where you mentioned the editing probably failed it, because I thought it was CG.
That's what I mean. Like I feel like
I guess so. Yeah,
they put so much
yeah.
work into this film, and I feel like the format didn't do it justice.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
But at the same time, I did enjoy that it was like watching a video game. It's watching a video game without the fucking bits where you have to actually play the video game.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, on a second viewing, it is actually a little bit more boring. Like the story beats are just not very interesting to watch. Like I think I was cooking lunch and I was like, I'll just put Carter on because it's a fucking. I don't really feel like thinking too much, so I just watch it again. And it's just like, I just want these scenes to be over so I can get to the next action scene after a while. Let's do the more blokey aspect of this film. Is like, which is your favorite action scene?
I think there's a sequence. It's the plane sequence. So the plane sequence starts with a fight scene in the cargo bay, and then like zombies come out of the fucking cockpit and start killing each other, and then the plane blows up and they do the skydiving scene, and then he lands in a truck and motorcycles are chasing them. And then something else happens, but I think that whole sequence was probably my favorite. It was like a long sequence where one thing led to another thing that led to another thing. And I think it ended up maybe on a bridge. I don't know.
No, I forgot. Like, something explodes. I'm pretty sure. Something
definitely explodes.
I know they stop. They stop because they go to the river and they like try to wash the blood off
themselves, and then the zombies come and they have to run away.
The zombie does like this backflip out of the water. Like he had no propulsion, and he's just like fucking crouching tiger, him dragging over the dude.
I mean, it's stylish
really
action.
The zombies were like not really zombies because they somewhat had they could use guns as well.
They were just cheap zombies, Tavi.
Yeah.
Cheap as in like a cheap effect and a cheap plot point.
Yeah, because it's like, let's put zombies in there. So like, it's definitely much weaker because they didn't even have that much makeup on them to put the zombies.
Yeah, they're just bald.
There's actually a part where there's like supposed to be like a threat, but then it's like immediately quelled. It's like,
which one?
Because you find out. I mean, we're talking spoilers now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, go watch the movie. Good action, good fun.
I mean, we've spoiled it enough already, but just watch it. Like us telling you what happens is not gonna be the same as you watching it. Like you can know the whole plot of this movie. Actually, I was watching this film with my partner, and she didn't want to finish watching it, so she looked up the plot on Wikipedia to see what happens, and she read it. And then she was like, I still don't really know what happens. So it's that kind of film. Like, you have to actually see it to understand what is happening. And even if you see it, you might not understand what happened. But yeah, watch it. It's fun.
Just watch the action.
Just
but you
enjoy
know how
action.
he goes back to North Korea.
Yeah.
And he finds out that the voice in his ear is his wife.
Yeah.
And then they go to that. He like breaks into that facility to rescue her and get his daughter.
Yeah.
Like his daughter, and it's like, where is she? Like, she's supposed to be in this room, and she just springs his wife and like bites her. It's like, ah! But then it's like, oh shit! Like, she's infected. But then the doctor dude's like, don't worry, I got the cure here, and just like immediately cures them both.
Yeah.
And I missed that the first time, so I thought, oh shit! But he's just like, yep, you're all good. It's like, okay, so that obviously didn't. Like, you just wasted our time.
We don't have time for that, Dub. We don't have time for
He's gonna go pew, pew,
for another fetch quest where they find a cure.
He's gonna shoot like, I I think my favorite action scene was the final sequence because I just really enjoyed the helicopter.
That's fucking
stuff.
Crazy.
It's crazy. It's like helicopter choreography. And the kind of the final fight scene between the really unlikable North Korean guy. Funny, like a guy comes on screen. You're just like, I just laugh. Like, this guy is bad news.
Yeah, I laughed out loud when he like pulled the minigun from the helicopter. And I was like, fucking crazy. But yeah. So good.
But I also enjoyed the very first fight scene, the naked Yakuza fight scene, where there's that really weird chick who is just like, she's just out of her mind.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, that was odd.
Flopping around and just like pointing a gun at people. Yeah, and then like it just doesn't.
Yeah, a lot of naked people getting stabbed and slashed.
And all the times where Hana nearly gets killed and probably should have died. Like, he like chucks her out the window. She's like, help! Like, hold on. She's like fighting this dude.
It's really like, it is like watching a video game. Yeah. It's like you're doing an escort mission, but it's like the most exciting escort mission that's ever been in a video game. Because generally they're pretty boring.
Yeah, people hate escort missions, man. Right.
But this is like, your escort can never die. It's just like, hold on. And she does.
She's like flipping on for
fucking Ashley from Resident Evil 4 wouldn't hold on. She just died.
You're talking about the plane sequence where like, I think it's like the North and South are liaising and they have Hannah. It's kind of like the safe room segment of the movie where like he can't get hurt or killed. There's like, the guy that kind of reveals himself in the cockpit, yeah. Not the cockpit, in
the cargo
luggage,
bay.
The cargo bay, yeah. And then he's like, oh, I'm this and that, and then he kills the director guy, and then he blows up the thing, and then like Hana goes up, and she just like, just tell them what happened. Like she just
I thought the same thing.
It's like it was really frustrating because I know why she did that, or I know why. It's because the plot just had to do it that way. Like any normal person would be like, oh, because the guy comes out and said, oh, the guy's a traitor. It's like, nah, fuck you, man. You tried to kill me, you motherfucker. She's just like sitting there with a massive snot booger coming out of her right nostril.
I mean, she's a kid though. She's probably in shock or something.
Nah, man. Yeah, she could like hang off like pipes and shit for elongated periods of time, but you just can't tell a dude, but they all die anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But then it leads into, I mean, none of the plot points really matter in this movie anyway.
Yeah, action to action to action. There's Luke Cage is in it for a bit, but he doesn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the guy.
Is he the exposition guy?
He's the exhibition.
That's why that guy he's so prominent. He's like, Carter Lee.
Yeah, that's why he's hamming it up because he's like, I'm the best actor in this film, actually.
It's like, yes. Ooh, here's your profile. Yes, 1986, born in South Korea. It's like, here's your whole backstory. We don't need to address it later.
Might as well have been a CGI man. Like, just, he was an NPC at that. And then the girl comes out. She's the girl. She's the little girl that gets attacked by compies at the start of The Lost World.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I recognize her from 10,000 BC.
Yes, 10,000 BC.
And that other When a Stranger Calls.
That's it,
movie.
When a Stranger Calls. Yes, same.
I was like,
same person.
You're looking a bit old now these days. And she's like the same age as us. I was like, oh fuck, I must be fucking old now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
but yeah, that plot line doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't.
As you said before.
It doesn't really go anywhere. But
I know
that's
a lot more than the voice in your head. It's like, what? Like what?
Yeah, not really though. But
really.
like I mean, there's not that much to say about this film except that if you like action, you might like it, but it's not a guarantee. Like, because I like action, but I can definitely see why this film turned a lot of people off. Because it is kind of hard to watch at times, and it does feel like it would be better as a straight up action, but also maybe not, because you do need like that kind of frenetic pacing in this kind of film. And I do appreciate, you know, the vision behind it. It's just that, yeah, I don't know how well it was executed. Maybe they should have taken a bit more care in the execution. I don't know.
I was pretty lenient with this movie, and I'm usually pretty critical, but I have my biases. Like, I like South Korean cinema, so, you know, I'll enjoy it. But I don't know. I've seen action people watch way worse action movies and then give them significantly better praises for like less. So I'm like, you know, I would urge people to watch this movie. It's just something different. Decent stunt work.
Oh, more than decent, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's excellent stunt work.
Yeah. So yeah, like maybe you're right on the sense that the editing and the filmic style didn't maybe portray that as much. That's probably my issue with jiu-jitsu, is that they made people who can fight look like they can't fight. But I never really got the sense in this movie that the people that were doing the stunts couldn't fight. And I think that's the difference between jiu-jitsu and this film.
It definitely still comes through. Like the impact of the violence still comes through. Even though it is like, at times kind of hard to watch.
Not really. I don't think it's that violent compared to some of the other stuff.
Oh, not in terms of violence, just in terms of like the motion of the camera.
Yeah,
I think if you were to watch it, I wouldn't watch it in IMAX because you will throw up, I think.
It's not being shown in IMAX anyway.
Watch it when you can, and I think like give it like come at it with an open mind. I think like if you look past the gimmick, I guess you can call it. It's like a pretty solid action film, and like you don't see an action film like this all the time. It's quite unique in terms of not just its direction but also its pacing. Like it's just balls to walls action. Like,
no, there's no fat.
You don't really have time to rest in this film.
Yeah, you don't. I think some people found that exhausting as well. Yeah, that was something. That was negative criticism.
Yeah, that was a criticism. But like, I like that. Like every time it came to a quiet moment, I was like, let's get to the next action thing. Let's do it.
I do like quiet moments, but those quiet moments need to be good. You know, I don't want to watch like a bore fest, which is again what I have with Marvel movies. It's like I try to teach me a lesson that is basically what you can buy off a Hallmark card. You know, just give me action, man. This movie is not trying to teach me anything. It's not trying to push anything. It's just like, here, watch this guy kill and beat up a bunch of people, and that's all right. And I can enjoy that. If that makes me hypocritical as a writer, then well, fuck you. Whatever.
No, I admire the commitment.
I admire the ambition
on everyone's part. The director knew what he wanted to do, and he went out and did it, and he got everyone on board, and everybody on board put in 100%, I'm sure.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of effort in this movie. So
which is more than I can say for a lot of other Netflix action films. So I'd watch this over Old Guard, is what I'm saying.
I haven't seen Old Guard. I heard it's okay. I've heard mixed opinions on that movie.
It's fine. It's fine. It's the grey man levels of fine. Anyway, you got any more to say about this film?
Nah, I think we're pretty good, man. I'm just gonna go watch more twice. So.
You've been waiting for 48 minutes to go watch more twice.
Man.
All right. Well, guys, what did you think of this film if you watched it? Did our drunken ramblings convince you to go watch this film? Let us know what you thought about it. You can get in touch with us at twoasianblokes@gmail.com. You can join our Facebook group to be a part of the conversation. Or you can follow us on Instagram at twoasianblokes to see what we're up to.
Yes.
Yeah,
that sounds good. Yeah. Let's cut the bullshit. Let's turn off this camera and finish this wine and watch more Talk That Talk.
Yeah, you do that.
I will do that.
All right, guys. Until next time. Bye-bye.
See you guys.